Welcome back all. Today I shall open up a new chapter on functions. Now I would argue that this is one of the most important chapters for you to learn. Functions are something that you will commonly write, and the general logic of a function remains pretty much the same and relatively unchanged from one programming language to another. So syntax for writing a function in Bash is following. It's pretty much the same anywhere else. We type in some function name, then you would type in these parentheses, and down below curly bracket open, closed, and some set of commands. Anyway, functions here can be also written in one line. So all of this can be placed into a single line. But there is a trick. So if it's on the single line, all the commands need to be separated by a semicolon. So command 1, command 2, etc. and so on. They can be written on the same line. Semicolon must follow in each one of them, and the last one as well. To call a function somewhere within the code is fairly simple. So function can be simply called, or function can be called and parameters can be passed to it if the function is so written that it requires parameters. So let's say, I don't know, some code is here, and down below we would like to call the function and use it. So we just type in the name. If you would need to pass some parameters to it, well, just pass them in a normal fashion. par1, par2, par3, and so on and so forth. So parameter 1, parameter 2, parameter 3. Keep in mind that the function must be defined before it can be called. Failing to do this will result in an error. However, it is possible to have a function calling another function that has not been defined. This should not be a problem if the call to the first function happens after defining the second one. Strange, I know. Let's have a look. Let's see how this works in practice. So, function 1. Let's have a look. Okay, so normally these things would be written here, like this, to save a line or two in writing the code. I don't really like to write it like that. I like to put it here and then actually write it. It's just a matter of style and preference. You can do whatever you wish in that regard. So call F1, we'll just name that function 1, or F2 like function 2. And then let's use these escape chars to have quote marks from F1. Okay, so let's just finish this. Dot is there for aesthetic reasons. Okay, so now we can say function 2. And down below, we can type in function 2. I'm just naming them like this. These are generic names. Names of the functions can be rather strange. I'll show you in a moment. Okay. Echo. I don't know. This is F2. We can put some quote marks to make it a bit prettier. There we go. And down below, we will type in function 1. So we have defined a function here, function 1 here, and we have defined the function 2 here, but we have called the function 2 before it was defined, and that can be a bit of a weird situation. So we're gonna go ahead and call the first function down below, and the output should actually echo out this as well. Let's see what happens. Should work. There you go. Call f2 from f1, and there you go. It says this is f2. Let's go and talk a bit about more abstract subject. Functions cannot be empty. However, it can contain a null command and thus won't result in an error. Let's have a look. So you cannot leave the function empty. This is not something that is permitted. If I just save this, I mean it can be illogical. You see, it reports an error. So there is a syntax error. Something is expected. It's not supposed to work like this. But if I put the null character in, which is the colon, and if I run it, see, nothing happens. There is no error. The function has been properly declared. There are no problems. There can also be nested functions. However, the usefulness of this is questionable. Also, you should be careful when calling nested functions because they need to be called in the order in which they were nested. So if we have function 1 and if I type in function 2 and if I type in echo, this is nested function. I will also need these curly brackets here. There we go. Down below, the order in which they can be called is following. So function 1 and then function 2. Let's go ahead and write this. Basically, it should output the same thing twice. Oh, sorry, no, not the same thing twice. The first function doesn't actually do anything. This is nested. This is a nested function. I missed the A sign there, misspelled that. But anyway, they need to be called in this particular order. They cannot be called in any other order. Calling in the order functions were, I mean, if we were to call function 5, this would result in some sort of a problem and some sort of an error. So let me just show you. Sorry, not function 5, function 2. It's arranged a little bit differently in my notes on the side. Let's go ahead and run it, and you can see it immediately issues out an error because we haven't called function 1 first, so this can be a problem. Functions names can have some really strange forms. I mean, to the point of absolute madness, I would dare say. Let me go ahead and show you what I mean by it. Okay, now that this is deleted, you see here it says function 1 seems normal, right? Everything seems to be fine. Get this, underline. Yeah, but there is no space between the underline and the parentheses, so that's a bit of a new thing and a bit weird. So let's go ahead and type in something like echo, hey there, I am, and then we shall echo out function name. I've shown you what this is, fun name, and there we go. Oops, close it. Let's go ahead and run it. It doesn't do anything. Why doesn't it do anything? Well, I haven't called it. I haven't called the function anywhere. So let's go ahead and call it. How shall we call it? Well, just type the underline. That's the name of the function. You see, hi there, I am underline. Yes, I know. You should really experiment with these names just to see what will actually pass and what won't. But a lot of things will, and you will see that they can have some really strange and some really messed up names. Next up, as I have mentioned previously, arguments can be passed to functions. Functions process these arguments by position. That's the $1, $2, you know, like the arguments are processed by our scripts, which we pass to them. So let's go ahead and see how this actually works. Actually, you know what? Let's leave this function name. Let's just leave it. And here it will, here it will state echo. And the first arg is $1, comma, second arg is $2. Excellent. So var1 shall be equal to 10. var2 shall be equal to 20. And then when this function is called, we shall type in var1, var2. So remember, underline is the function name. Let's go ahead and save this, and now let's go ahead and run it. It says first arg is var1, second arg is var2. Keep in mind that if a function expects parameters and the call to the function does not provide any parameters, then the function treats the parameters as if they were null values. Can be a little bit confusing at times. So one needs to be really careful with those things. Also, a function can take a command line argument passed to the script as parameters, but they still need to be passed to the function just like regular parameters do. Let me just go ahead and show you an example of this. Instead of var1 and var2, I can type in $1, $2. I'll just leave var1 and var2. There's really no legitimate reason to delete them. If I run this, first arg is, second arg is, you see they are treated as null, so there's nothing there. But if I run this like 10, 20, first arg is 10, second arg is 20. See? Fairly simple. No big deal. Anyway, I will cut the tutorial here and I'll see you in part 2.